Welcome to the Noticias El Salvador SV podcast, a space for conversation and reflection, where we explore current events in El Salvador and around the world. If you'd like to support this project, you'll find the payment options, PayPal or QR Bitcoin, in the content description. For those requesting interviews, please note that we are not currently offering podcasts in that format. However, if you'd like to advertise your products, please email us at the address in the description. Find us on your favorite platform as Noticias El Salvador SV. Today we're doing a deep dive into what feels like a complex and almost paradoxical economic reality that's unfolding in November of 2025. Our mission today is really to get past the headlines. We're going to analyze the currents in the international economic landscape, some big geopolitical shifts, and then we're going to pivot pretty sharply back home to El Salvador. We'll be focusing on some remarkable advancements in technology and trade, but we'll also be contrasting those achievements with some of the persistent and foundational internal challenges that are showing up in our source material.
And I think that framework, that idea of contrast, is absolutely essential if you want to really understand what's happening. We're seeing these macro signals that suggest a significant global monetary and trade realignment. Some of these are highly material, others are, they're deeply symbolic, so we need to look at those first. And then we'll shift our focus to El Salvador strengthening commercial ties and what looks like a dramatically evolving investment climate. We'll spend a good amount of time on the technological leaps, especially in healthcare and finance, but critically, we can't ignore the friction points. The serious issues in public health infrastructure and localized environmental problems that, continue to challenge the nation's well-being, even as these high-profile projects are gathering speed.
Okay, let's do that. Let's begin on the global stage. And there's a development that might seem minor at first glance, but I think it carries immense conceptual weight, especially for anyone tracking the stability of fiat currencies. We're seeing reports confirming that the United States is officially closing an era. It's minting its last penny after more than 2 centuries. So what does the end of the 1-cent coin really tell us about the state of the U.S. dollar?
Well, it's fascinating because the end of a low-value coin like this is it's less about simple convenience and more of a hard financial acknowledgement from the state. Conceptually, the move just speaks volumes. It's about the relentless march of inflation, the declining purchasing power of fiat currency over centuries. The penny has basically reached a structural inflection point.
An inflection point? What do you mean by that?
I mean, its physical cost of production, the copper, the zinc, the labor, the logistics, it now consistently costs more to make a penny than the penny is actually worth.
Wow.
And that is a classic symptom of significant, persistent inflationary pressures.
So it's almost like a quiet confession from the government about monetary erosion, isn't it?
Precisely. That's a perfect way to put it. While, consumers might just see it as symbolic, maybe a bit of a nuisance gone, for financial analysts, for central bankers, it points to much broader, more material shifts. Historically, if you look back, nations often drop their lowest denomination currency when inflation has made them, economically non-viable.
Right. I think Canada did this a few years back.
They did. Canada phased out its penny over a decade ago for very similar reasons, cost and utility. So the decision by the United States Mint suggests that the inflation we've seen, particularly over the last few decades, has finally cemented the penny's obsolescence. And there's another layer here. It also hints at the accelerating shift towards digital transactions.
Of course.
If these minor denominations just cease to exist, people are pushed, or at least incentivized, to use cards or digital systems more. It brings us a little bit closer to a cashless economy, which has, profound implications for everything from monetary policy to financial tracking.
So this small change, getting rid of a coin, is actually accelerating a huge transition away from physical cash.
It's away from physical cash and into a fully digital financial framework. It's a small change that reflects a big erosion.
Okay, so pivoting from monetary concerns to planetary ones, the global outlook on the environmental front is, frankly, deeply troubling. We have an alarming forecast that global carbon dioxide emissions from fossil fuels, they're expected to reach a record high in 2025. This points directly to just intensified, unrestrained industrial output on a global scale. It's a trend that seems, stubbornly resistant to all the major international reduction efforts.
This record high in CO2 emissions is really the defining environmental tension of our age. It just underscores how structurally reliant the entire global economic system is on carbon-intensive energy. Despite immense international pressure, despite huge investments in renewables, the sheer pace of industrialization and energy consumption in major economies just continues to overwhelm any mitigation efforts.
So it's not just a failure of policy then?
No, not at all. It's a reflection of fundamental economic drivers. The mandates for growth, for GDP, are still intrinsically tied to burning fossil fuels. It's an incredibly powerful systemic drive, and it places this immense strain on the planet's ability to absorb it all.
And this destructive global momentum, as you put it, it stands in such stark contrast to some of the highly localized efforts towards sustainability that we're also seeing. You mentioned a campaign in Sweden from the source material.
Yes, and it's such a fascinating counterpoint. The sources highlight this conscious effort in Sweden promoting what they call forest silence. It's about a profound engagement with nature as an intentional antidote to noise pollution, to the constant clamor of that same relentless industrial society.
And noise pollution is now being seen as a genuine health issue, right?
A genuine health crisis, especially in urban environments. So this Swedish initiative is almost a philosophical resistance. It's a localized attempt to value natural tranquility and sustainable living, a constant economic throughput. So you have the global data screaming about an environmental threat driven by a system that rewards pollution. And then you have the Swedish effort highlighting a conscious local pursuit of psychological and environmental health.
And the challenge is how to bridge that gap.
That's the billion-dollar question. How do you transition a global economy that still fundamentally rewards high output and consumption, which generates CO2, toward a model that actually values the quiet sustainability reflected in this Swedish movement? The current system just incentivizes the former.
That dual reality, the fast digital world versus the slow, messy physical one. It extends directly into technology and intellectual property, doesn't it? We're seeing these major global conflicts emerge, especially in the digital content space. The sources describe an ongoing struggle against AI robots that vacuum up web content.
Oh, this is a huge one. This is a struggle over the very definition of intellectual property and digital ownership in the 21st century. It's much more than just a legal skirmish. This represents a fundamental, almost instantaneous shift in how digital value is created, extracted, and owned. For decades, value in the digital world was created by humans, writing articles, taking photos, creating software, doing reporting. And now, these large language models, or LLMs, are just consuming all of this data at a massive scale, a process called web scraping, to train their systems.
So they're effectively building their intelligence on the back of millions of human creators, but without necessarily returning any economic benefit to them. Is that right?
That's exactly it. And it raises this urgent, really important question about fair compensation, about the sustainability of the whole creative ecosystem.
Yeah.
Think about it. If the input cost for training your AI model is effectively zero, because you can just freely absorb all this web content, then the intrinsic value of the original human-generated source material just plummets.
Which threatens the jobs of journalists, writers, artists.
It threatens their entire economic viability. If we can't establish robust global frameworks to monetize the data used for training these AIs, we risk collapsing the very intellectual ecosystem that fuels the digital economy. And you could end up with just a flood of synthesized, low-quality content that drowns out all the original creative work.
So while the digital world is being turned upside down by this generative AI, the physical industrial side of robotics, that seems to be moving at a much, much slower pace. It's lagging behind the hype. We have a pretty significant reality check from a major player, Amazon Robotics, saying that humanoid robots are still far from transforming industry.
Yes, and this contrast between the speed of computational AI and the slow, arduous pace of physical robotics. It's one of the most interesting paradoxes in technology today. We celebrate this exponential growth in digital intelligence and processing power, but the sources indicate that the practical reality of using complex humanoid robots is still incredibly challenging, mostly due to issues with real-world deployment.
So what are the specific limitations that someone like Amazon Robotics is pointing to? What's holding them back?
The limitations are primarily physical, not digital. Humanoid robots still struggle with the key requirements for widespread industrial use, especially in environments that aren't perfectly structured.
Like a warehouse or a factory floor.
Exactly. We're talking about dexterity, the ability to perform fine motor tasks reliably over and over again. Dynamic stability when they're interacting with, say, an unpredictable payload, and most critically, cost effectiveness. A general-purpose robot has to be able to do a variety of tasks cheaper and more reliably than a human, but the current models often require massive amounts of custom programming and maintenance that just outweighs any labor savings.
I see. So the forecasts of mass replacement of human workers by robots might be a bit premature.
They need to be tempered by this sober reality check. Until these physical engineering hurdles are overcome, investment in automation is going to logically focus on specialized, fixed-task machinery. The things that are easier to control and cheaper to deploy. not the versatile, general-purpose robots you see in the media.
Let's shift now to global security and geopolitical posturing. We're moving to a region of immediate interest here in the Americas. We have some very explicit reports of the United States advancing its most advanced aircraft carrier toward Venezuela. This is a very overt display of military power, and it's paired with the Pentagon's announcement of a new operation called South Spear.
This deployment, it really introduces a significant escalation of geopolitical tension in the Caribbean region. The presence of a major United States military asset like an aircraft carrier, which is a massive symbol of force projection so close to Venezuela, combined with the announcement of an operation named South Spear, it clearly signals a heightened strategic focus and increased vigilance.
What can we infer from a name like South Spear?
Well, the specific operational details are, of course, usually classified, but names like that often imply one of two things. It's either a large-scale training exercise to enhance interoperability with regional allies, or, and this is more likely given the context, it's an operation explicitly intended for deterrence and crisis response. It communicates to regional adversaries that the United States has the capacity and the willingness to intervene if needed.
And what about the internal security measures mentioned in the sources? The temporary restrictions on air traffic.
Yes, the sources noted temporary closures and restrictions to air traffic inside the United States. Now, while a direct link isn't confirmed, such restrictions very frequently accompany major military deployments or significant shifts in security alert levels. It's about ensuring the movement of high-value military or government assets remains unimpeded and protected. It's a layered approach that shows the level of sensitivity across the entire U.S. defense apparatus right now.
Okay, and in addition to that high-stakes military action, we should probably touch on a couple of other international indicators that reflect some diverse global trends. There was a striking data point on the luxury market.
Indeed. Shifting gears dramatically, we saw the record sale of a Napoleon brooch in Geneva for over $4 million United States dollars. A transaction like that, it acts as a kind of high watermark for wealth concentration and confidence among the ultra-rich in luxury collectibles.
It's an asset class that seems to exist in its own bubble.
It often remains decoupled from broader economic headwinds. It functions as a store of value and, of course, status. The fact that an artifact with Napoleonic history commands that kind of price just underscores the enduring value of historical significance in that luxury segment.
And finally, a pretty significant policy shift in Europe regarding national defense.
A very significant shift. We have to mention Germany ordering voluntary military service for all young people. Now, for a nation that moved away from mass conscription after the Cold War, this is a profound reevaluation of its national defense policy.
And it's driven by the current geopolitical climate, I assume.
Almost certainly. It signals Germany's renewed commitment to preparedness, to reserve strength, driven by the changing climate in Europe and the proximity of regional conflicts. And this move really reflects a much wider trend among European nations who are looking to rebuild their military capacity after decades of relative peace. It's changing the social contract between the state and its youth.
Okay, let's bring our focus back home now to El Salvador. And here we're seeing some very concrete and positive measures of bilateral strengthening in trade. A huge development reported recently is a new trade agreement where the United States eliminates reciprocal tariffs for Salvadoran exports. The sources are describing this as the latest sign of the strong friendship between the two nations.
This is an absolutely pivotal economic development for El Salvador. We're moving beyond symbolic gestures here and into material economic advantage. The elimination of reciprocal tariffs, what that means is that Salvadoran goods entering the massive United States market no longer face those duties, which significantly lowers the cost barrier for them. This gives Salvadoran exporters an immediate, tangible, competitive pricing advantage against rivals from other countries who still have to pay those duties.
So which specific sectors in El Salvador were really positioned to gain the most from this?
Well, you have to look at the sectors that already have a strong export capacity. Historically, that's been textiles and apparel. Those are labor-intensive industries, and they benefit immensely from any reduction in costs. But also, certain agricultural products, specialized manufactured goods, they also stand to gain a lot. This kind of agreement encourages expansion, it encourages modernization, and more foreign direct investment into those industries. Because the pathway to the world's largest consumer market has suddenly become much smoother and much more profitable.
So it's not just good diplomacy.
No, it's a concrete measure that strengthens commercial ties and translates directly into dollars and jobs right here at home. It signals a very high degree of confidence and alignment between the two governments.
And this tangible success in trade seems to be mirrored by some very vocal positive sentiment from key international financial figures. We have the influential Mexican investor Ricardo Salinas publicly stating that he opens the door to new investments in El Salvador.
And this is where you see policy changes and public endorsements creating these powerful feedback loops that really shape market perception. The elimination of tariffs provides the structural economic basis for growth. But then high-profile public statements from figures like Salinas, who manages vast international holdings, they act as these potent endorsements. It just broadcasts confidence to the wider international investment community.
So how should we weigh a public declaration like that? I mean, do investors actually follow through? Or is this more about creating a positive narrative to lower risk aversion?
It's a mix of both, really. Investors are looking for two primary things: predictable economic policy and social stability. The tariff agreement directly addresses that policy predictability. And the well-documented security gains in El Salvador address the stability. So when a large, successful investor like Salinas publicly signals his interest, it dramatically de-risks the perception of the country for smaller, more cautious capital.
Right, they figure if he's willing to jump in.
Exactly. They reason. If Salinas, with his global team of analysts, is willing to commit capital here, then the underlying risk must be manageable. Now, we need to wait for the concrete capital movements to really assess the scale. But the public statement itself is a massive tool for attracting that next layer of investment that always follows the market leaders. It's essentially a global stamp of approval.
Shifting to infrastructure and real estate, the Surf City project just continues to attract massive amounts of capital. The announcement of the cliff alone is reportedly driving over $150 million in real estate investment in the El Sunsal area. That is an enormous amount for a single development.
It's transformative. An investment of $150 million in a single coastal complex. That's not just a luxury real estate project, it's an integrated infrastructure project. To support a complex of that size, you have to have major lasting improvements in all the surrounding areas. Roads, water, electrical utilities, related services, they all have to be upgraded. It drives a vertical integration of the entire tourism and hospitality sector in that region.
And this is all happening as the country gears up for some major international sporting events that require that kind of world-class capacity, isn't it?
Absolutely. This investment is strategically aligned with the government's push to position Surf City as a premium global tourism destination. You have the announcement that El Salvador will host the Ironman 70.3 in 2026.
A huge logistical undertaking.
Huge. A triathlon event that demands the most stringent logistical and safety standards. And then there's the ISA World SUP and Paddleboard Championship in 2025. These events act as catalysts. They force the acceleration of these infrastructure upgrades and the resulting construction and then the long-term operations of these facilities. They generate substantial, high-quality local jobs. It moves the area beyond just seasonal employment toward a sustainable year-round tourism economy.
Now, despite these major projects, which are concentrated along the coast and in the capital, we also have some interesting data about the concentrated structure of the national economy itself. The sources confirm that the metropolitan area of San Salvador concentrates a massive 91.2% of the entire national productive fabric.
That is a striking figure. 91.2%. That level of concentration really highlights a significant developmental challenge that's just inherent in the structure of the economy. The capital acts as the undeniable engine of economic activity, industry, finance, services are all located there. But it simultaneously means that the benefits of that economic growth risk being highly localized. They risk excluding much of the interior of the country, creating these regional inequalities in wealth and opportunity.
But it's not all centralized. We are seeing some contrasting positive economic news from outside the capital core.
And that's the critical contrast to make. For example, the confirmation of a very good bean and corn harvest. That's led to low prices for staple food.
Which is huge for family budgets.
Fundamentally important for household economics and food security across the entire country. It provides direct relief for consumers no matter where they live. And at the same time, we see major domestic retailers like Super Selectos expanding. They opened their 119th store in Santa Ana. That's a $4 million investment that created over 350 direct jobs. That kind of decentralized investment shows that market growth and confidence are spreading beyond the immediate capital region.
And on the welfare front, we have confirmation that family remittances are showing robust growth, up 18.5% by September. That influx of capital is so critical.
Remittances are a vital, stabilizing pillar of the economy. That 18.5% growth figure is substantial. It reflects the commitment and the resilience of the Salvadoran diaspora, mainly in the United States. Those funds inject crucial foreign currency directly into household spending. They keep local consumption stable and provide a critical social safety net. And on the policy side, we have the government proposing to make the anticipated payment of Christmas pension bonuses a permanent thing.
Which is more than just a seasonal perk.
It's a strategic move. It's aimed at providing financial certainty for the elderly population and structuring social welfare. By making it permanent and anticipated, it helps pensioners budget, and it injects predictable consumer spending power into the economy earlier in the holiday cycle.
We do need to pause here for just a moment to remind you, our listener, that if you value this deep dive and the rigorous analysis we're bringing to these topics, you can support the Noticias El Salvador SV project. Your commitment is what allows us to maintain the independence and depth of this analysis. You'll find the payment options, whether it's PayPal or QR Bitcoin, conveniently linked in the content description. Your contributions help ensure we can continue this work. Okay, let's turn now to the Bitcoin ecosystem, which El Salvador has so heavily embraced as a matter of national strategy. The recent Bitcoin Historical event reportedly gathered 1,000 attendees and has successfully consolidated El Salvador as a Bitcoin referent.
Being a Bitcoin referent. That's a title that's earned through both policy and, demonstrable community action. In practical terms, it signifies that El Salvador is no longer just experimenting with Bitcoin. It is actively positioning itself as the global epicenter for decentralized finance talent, for investment, and for regulatory innovation. And hosting a successful event like Bitcoin Historico just solidifies that reputation. It attracts international capital and crypto entrepreneurs.
But how does the country make sure that expertise is internalized? That it's not just reliant on international visitors who come and go?
That's the key question, and that's where critical initiatives like the Node Nation Education Program, which was noted in the sources, come in. This program is designed to cultivate local talent to ensure that the ecosystem is sustained by Salvadoran professionals. It's a strategic move to prevent brain drain and build that intellectual capital around the technology.
And there was another huge tech announcement related to this.
A massive one. We have to discuss the strategic convergence of high-tech and national resources here. The announcement that El Salvador has acquired NVIDIA B300 chips to propel its sovereign AI initiative using geothermal energy.
That's a huge technical leap. Can you break that down for our audience? What does acquiring these NVIDIA chips really signify, and what does sovereign AI even mean?
Okay, so the NVIDIA B300 chips, these are the high-end GPUs, the graphic processing units. They are the absolute cutting edge of modern computational power. They're essential for training the massive, power-hungry models that drive modern artificial intelligence. Acquiring these chips signals a very serious state-level commitment to being a global player in AI development. And sovereign AI implies that El Salvador intends to control not just the infrastructure, the raw computing power, but also the data, the algorithms, and the policies governing its national AI systems.
So it's about national control over this new strategic resource.
Exactly. It's about data localization, setting ethical standards, and maintaining national control over a technology that will define future economic and military power. And critically, El Salvador is powering this with geothermal energy. It's integrating its unique natural resource volcanic energy to provide clean, cheap power for these incredibly demanding computers. That gives them a green competitive advantage globally.
But this bold high-tech vision exists alongside some very significant, persistent financial pressures that anchor the country to more conventional financial systems. We know there are 4 outstanding debts that El Salvador has with the International Monetary Fund.
And this contrast really encapsulates the central financial tightrope the country is walking right now. On one hand, you have this exciting future-forward promise of Bitcoin and sovereign AI. On the other, you have the absolute necessity of managing these 4 outstanding debts with the IMF. And that management is crucial for maintaining international creditworthiness, for accessing further conventional funding for core infrastructure projects.
So the IMF debts are a constant reminder of the traditional system.
A constant reminder that the country still operates within that traditional global fiscal architecture. And on top of that, we also see localized financial strain, like the Sociedad de Mercados accumulating losses of $5.2 million.
What exactly is the Sociedad de Mercados, and what do those losses tell us?
The Sociedad de Mercados is a key entity. It's essentially responsible for operating and regulating wholesale markets or certain public financial functions. Losses of that scale, $5.2 million, They highlight localized inefficiencies, maybe operational difficulties, or significant market challenges within specific public sectors that have nothing to do with Bitcoin or high finance. So the challenge for the government is balancing the immense potential and visibility of the Bitcoin ecosystem with the necessity of sound, transparent, and efficient management of these conventional fiscal debts and operational losses in legacy public institutions. You have to be competent in both.
Okay, moving from finance to the national domestic scene. Let's explore what is perhaps the most revolutionary technological announcement targeted at social well-being, the official presentation of DoctorSV. The sources describe this AI-driven health platform as a global precedent in modern healthcare.
The potential scope of DoctorSV is, it's genuinely game-changing. It makes that claim of a global precedent actually understandable. The system uses advanced AI to analyze symptoms and provide medical diagnoses with a claimed effectiveness of over 90%.
90%.
If that claim is validated through peer review and real-world clinical deployment, that would be revolutionary. It would provide diagnostic support that matches or even exceeds many general practitioners.
And beyond just the diagnosis, what are the key features that are meant to democratize access to healthcare?
Critically, the platform allows for instant remote consultations. That removes the geographical barriers that so often leave rural populations underserved. But the key to democratization is the fulfillment part. DoctorSV provides free medicine delivery directly to people's homes.
So it's an end-to-end system.
It tries to be. It aims to leapfrog the traditional healthcare infrastructure barriers, expanding access rapidly and equitably across the country. It uses technology for both diagnosis and logistics to bypass that physical bottleneck of doctors and specialists being concentrated in the cities.
And the reception from external bodies seems to back this up. The CEF Development Social and Human Manager, for instance, stated that with this system, health now belongs to everyone equally.
That statement really encapsulates the platform's high potential to fundamentally democratize health access. It attempts to deliver high-quality, free initial care directly into people's hands through their phones. This is a direct technological application aimed at addressing those deeply ingrained socioeconomic disparities in health access that have plagued developing nations for decades. The promise is profound.
And yet, here we have to introduce a sharp and frankly painful contrast. This high-tech promise stands starkly against deep, ongoing deficiencies reported within the traditional public health system, particularly the Seguro Social or ISS. It's hard to reconcile a country capable of this level of AI with one that can't provide basic resources.
That dichotomy is not just a challenge. It highlights a systemic failure in physical infrastructure and supply chain management that you just can't overlook. The sources paint a deeply concerning picture of the resource gaps within the ISS. We have reports detailing a devastating scarcity of essential items, specifically the needles necessary for hemodialysis patients.
And for our listeners, can you explain why a scarcity of hemodialysis needles is such a critical indicator of failure?
Because it's a failure in the most basic life-critical care. Hemodialysis patients require frequent, specific treatment just to survive. A lack of specialized needles or fluids is not an inconvenience. It is a direct threat to their lives. And what's more, the ISSS is reportedly unable to cover the high demand for dialysis services in general. That indicates a massive capacity and resourcing gap for chronic conditions. Beyond that, you see broader chronic complaints about a general lack of essential medicines and a shortage of medical specialists. These are foundational failures that expose the limits of a digital-only solution.
And the data on infectious diseases adds another layer of crisis. We have some alarming statistics. Over 200,000 cases of diarrhea were reported in just a 10-month period. The ISS also registered 240 new HIV cases, and most disturbingly, 113 reported deaths in 2024 were attributed to hospital-acquired infections.
Those figures indicate an endemic public health crisis. They point to fundamental issues in sanitation, public hygiene, and institutional infection control. 200,000 diarrhea cases. That suggests widespread sanitation or water quality issues that require massive public works intervention. But the even more alarming figure is the 113 deaths from hospital-acquired infections. These are infections that are often preventable.
Right.
They point directly to severe failures in operational control, hygiene, and resources within the very institutions that are designed to heal people.
So what has the response been from the professional medical community to this crisis?
The medical college has, rightfully, intervened. They're suggesting the implementation of a sanitary fence for diseases like malaria. They're initiating critical investigations into the emergence of superbacteria. This acknowledges that the risks are escalating beyond simple resource shortages into potentially widespread epidemiological threats. And it all brings us back to that central question of integration. How can a high-tech platform like DoctorSV, which provides a diagnosis, effectively integrate with and address these severe physical infrastructure gaps? Digital access provides information, but the underlying physical system has to be able to reliably deliver the life-saving supplies, the clean facilities, and the hygiene standards needed for treatment. Technology can't fix a lack of needles.
Let's transition to public security. We're shifting to a realm where the national trends have continued to hold firm, providing a vital foundation for that economic confidence we talked about earlier. The sources highlighted that Thursday, November 13th, closed without any homicides, continuing a historical tendency. And it notes that El Salvador now totals 1,060 cumulative days without homicides.
The consistency and the duration of these security achievements remain a powerful, non-negotiable foundation for both external confidence and national stability. For investors, stability is paramount. The maintenance of this historical trend provides a predictable environment, which attracts both domestic and foreign capital, and of course improves the quality of daily life for citizens.
But despite that strong national security picture, localized crises and ongoing rule of law issues still emerge. We have to address the environmental crisis reported in Lake Suchitlan.
This localized environmental disaster is a severe threat, a threat to the affected community's sustenance, their livelihood, and the health of the entire ecosystem. The mass mortality of thousands of fish across at least 12 communities, described as a crisis without precedent that suggests a major, sudden environmental disruption. Immediate investigation is required to find the cause. Is it industrial pollution, agricultural runoff, climate-related changes in the water? This event demands an immediate government response.
And this environmental concern is mirrored in infrastructure management issues elsewhere, isn't it? Like the Maids landfill.
Exactly. The sources noted that the Maids landfill is currently immobilized by a clear order from the Attorney General's office. Now, when the AG's office immobilizes something like that, it strongly suggests legal or environmental violations related to improper waste management. And that's another critical component of public health. Effective waste management is essential to prevent the very kind of public health issues we discussed earlier, like contaminated water leading to diarrhea. These two incidents, the lake and the landfill, show that environmental governance remains a critical and sensitive operational challenge.
And just to conclude our national updates, let's provide a few factual details on recent arrests that demonstrate the ongoing daily enforcement of the rule of law.
We have several relevant updates that show the breadth of that work. First, 2 drunk drivers were arrested in El Congo after an accident. That shows consistent enforcement of traffic safety. Second, the capture of an MS gang member in Ciudad Merlio with a criminal record going all the way back to 2007. This illustrates the continuous focused efforts against those long-term organized criminal structures. And finally, arrests were made related to buying and selling stolen tech in the historical center. That signals enforcement against organized property crime in key urban areas.
So this is a comprehensive approach.
It is, targeting everything from traffic offenses to gang structures and property theft. It gives a detailed snapshot of daily security work. And we should also quickly acknowledge the positive community news from the president about opening the newly renovated San Miguelito Market. That's a crucial development for local vendors and boosts the local economy. So, as we conclude this pretty extensive deep dive, I think it's useful to synthesize the 3 most important conclusions that emerged from our analysis of the sources for November 2025. First, we are seeing a global economic realignment that's favoring El Salvador. The concrete action by the United States to eliminate those reciprocal tariffs signals a significant and strong bilateral trade opening. It offers tangible economic benefits to Salvadoran exporters. And this positive step really contrasts with the larger, deeply concerning global challenges, like the forecast for record CO2 emissions and those symbolic monetary shifts, like the end of the U.S. penny, which is a subtle acknowledgement of persistent inflation.
Right. And second, the data reveals this profound and I think painful tech-health dichotomy right here in El Salvador. The nation is aggressively pursuing modernization with groundbreaking AI health systems like DoctorSV, a genuine global precedent. But this high-tech innovation exists in sharp, undeniable contrast with the persistent and serious resource shortages and systemic issues inside the traditional public health system, highlighted by, the scarcity of basic supplies like hemodialysis needles.
And third, we identified a clear pattern of investment confidence versus local strengths. You have high-profile investments and endorsements. Ricardo Salinas, the $150 million Surf City project, the success of the Bitcoin events and the Sovereign AI initiative. All of this indicates robust external faith in the country's strategic direction. Yet at the same time, localized operational and environmental issues persist. And they're evidenced by the severe crisis in Lake Suchitlan, the failures at the Milas landfill, and the ongoing necessity of managing those 4 outstanding IMF obligations.
That dual reality, the leap forward on one hand and the struggle with fundamentals on the other. That's really the story of November 2025. And considering the rapid adoption of technology like Bitcoin and DoctorSV, we're left with a final provocative thought for you, the listener. What mechanisms must be put in place to ensure that these exciting global-facing innovations actually solve, rather than merely mask the chronic issues in fundamental areas like health resources, sanitation, and environmental sustainability? The ultimate challenge is transforming a high-tech platform into a reliable, widespread fiscal improvement for every single citizen. Thank you for joining us for this extensive deep dive. We hope this analysis provides you with the context you need to understand the complex forces at play in El Salvador and globally. If this conversation was valuable to you, please consider supporting the Noticias El Salvador SV project. Your economic contributions through PayPal or QR Bitcoin are essential for maintaining the rigor and independence of this analysis. You'll find the details in the description. Please also share this content with anyone you feel would benefit from this detailed perspective. Until next time, stay well informed.